What happened when you grew up between languages, cultures, countries, and systems, but never fully belonged to just one? In this episode, we explore what it means to lose yourself in the process of adapting to different environments and the quiet, intentional work it takes to come back home to who you are. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Soft Power Project. Today's guest is someone whose life has been shaped across cultures, languages, and continent. Born and raised in Paris and now based in the Netherlands, she speaks multiple languages, has lived across Europe and Mexico, and brings a deeply personal perspective on what it means to belong, not just to places, but to yourself. And I'm so excited to welcome Djennie. Hi, Djennie.
Hi, Sherry. Nice to have me here today.
So I'm so excited to talk to you, knowing that you came from this really unique background. Our chat before was really a lot about finding your identity when you had gone through so many transformations in life
hmm
ever since you were little and what that's like and your perspective. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of jump right in. I mean, your background is so unique. I'm going to let you talk us through a little bit about that. Is that okay?
Yes, of course. So, like you said, I was born and raised in Paris. I lived there until I was 20. I went through my whole school until university, and then I moved to the Netherlands. But let's go back a little bit in time. So, first, my mom is from Ivory Coast. It's in West Africa, and my dad is actually mixed. On his mom's side, he's from Spain, from the south of Spain, and on his dad's side is from Senegal. It's also in West Africa. And as a kid, my mom was alone, navigating having two kids, and she had this opportunity to send us just for the holidays in the Netherlands in a Dutch family. And we went for the first time, me and my sister. I was 3 years old, she was five, and it never stopped actually. We spent all our vacation there. That became kind of our second family. Today we consider it each other just as family. And later on, I moved there because I was already speaking the language and I wanted to do something with marketing and sales. And I said, hey, having this extra language is awesome. And it's such a small country on the world map. If you have this unique skill, it will always help me have a job. That is basically my cultural background.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like yeah, it's basically it, but it's
It's
incredible.
a lot.
Yeah, because you speak English, you speak French, obviously, you speak Spanish, and you speak
Yeah.
Dutch, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, is there any other language that you're currently challenging yourself with, like trying to
Yes, of
learn?
course.
Oh my
So
goodness. Yeah.
last year I started to learn Haitian Creole, and it was kind of I could say I can understand it today because you have some. It's kind of old French mixed with Creole from Guadeloupe or Martinique, which I also understand a little bit. And I'm learning Portuguese because it's also kind of similar to Spanish. And I was like, hey, I really want to learn something new. So those are the two languages right now I'm working on.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I can barely speak two languages, and I feel like, yeah,
Everybody has different skills.
it's very true. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to kind of go back a little bit, and we will talk about language because I think that is a very different kind of tools, and love to know more about that. And so I want to go back, and I want to ask you this question. It may be a hard question, not sure, but do you remember the first moment you realized that you were different?
Well, I think I was already in primary school when I realized I was different, not only because of my skin tone, but also because well, I was raised in Paris, but I was not raised in the fancy Paris. So you had kids from different social class, let's put it that way. So you had the rich, the poor, both parents, single parents, some living with their grandparents. So it was really, really diverse. And me and my sister got to go on holidays almost every holiday. And even though the principle behind it was because my mom was alone, and it was through this organization for single parents or having a difficult background,
Mm-hmm.
we got to leave Paris almost every vacation unless we didn't want to go there, which happened maybe 2 or 3 times between the age of 3 and 20. That's one way I realized I was different. And going into middle school, I was really easy at learning English because at that point I was already speaking 2 languages completely fluently. And my parents used to tell me when I was a kid, my Spanish grandmother used to speak to me in Spanish. I don't remember that, but I'm always thinking maybe that already helped me as a kid developing the skill of learning fast and quite easily, interacting with kids and seeing that we don't all have the same benefits or the same disadvantages in life. Then, yeah, you realize that we are all actually pretty unique.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting because I wasn't even thinking about social class. And I mean, being in Taiwan, I would say you kind of exposed to a little bit less of that. And I feel like with your background and where you're at, again, there's so many different people from different backgrounds and literally like cultural background, different languages, different race. And then on top of that, you have different social class. So how has that experience actually shaped you? Because it's quite unique.
As a kid, we realized pretty young that we were not wealthy. And we realized that, yeah, Paris is big and fancy and everything, but you really experience wealthy people from close by and really poor people from close by. So on one hand, you're learning to know that you need to do better in life than your parents to not get to that point. We didn't had it that bad, but it was not something I would wish on anybody. So you know already the direction that you want to take. And at the same time, you have to be grateful because there is people in worse situation than yourself. And even if you're a kid and you want to be innocent, you see it. For example, we always had food, but some kids went to school with no food. So you learn to share with the people that have less. So yeah, you say there is benefit and discomfort in it, but you are really confronted to reality at a young age.
Wow. That's, yeah, that must be really interesting because then, like you said, it's like on one hand, you need to be grateful. And on the other, you're also seeing, you definitely see the reality, but then you also have this very strong direction where you want to go in life because maybe you feel like, oh, that, I needed to accomplish something because, I needed more or I would like to have more for my future generation. Yeah. And I'm just wondering in terms of all these moving, right? So you go for summer or any holiday, you would travel. How was that like for you as kids? Was it like easy for you to just kind of adapt into a different environment?
Maybe I made it look easy. I think I would say it like that.
Mm,
As a kid, you know this is what you're supposed to do. You know you're going to that place. You have different rules, different values, different code of conduct. And then when you leave that place, you go back home. There is a whole other routine of your mom, which is also quite strict. Not the fun is over, but the vacation is over. You go back to school. You have such a routine, and I don't think that it was always comfortable. I just think that we just had to do it. So we made it look easy. And it was always both ways because I was happy to go on holiday, but I was also sad to leave my friends. And then you go on a holiday, you have friends there, and you have to go back. So you have to say goodbye to your friends and your family on both sides. So you're always saying kind of a goodbye that is not a really a goodbye, but also having to adjust and adapt not only the language part, but for me it was really the rules in house because it was very two different parenting styles. And yeah, you just have to once follow new rules. And I was a little bit rebellious sometimes, so I know inside it would irritate me that I needed to adjust. And I would think, yeah, but I'm here on holiday, but my mom lets me do this and do that. Yeah, but now it's another mom, so you have to switch to the new rules. So it helped me learn fast and adapt, especially really, really fast. But also, I learned to stop and really feel the discomfort I was feeling at on the moment.
That's really powerful because I think we don't realize that. But as kids, like, I mean, yeah, we have unique personality, but then again, we observed our
Hmm.
environment and the system, right?
And we
So
absorb a lot.
yeah, so that when you're in different environment, depending on how the parents or the adults, how
Hmm.
they dictate or how are they authoritarian or they're more free or you know, eh, you kind of have to act differently, right? According to the rules. I never really thought about that, but I think that really affected how, how you grow up and your internal system, what that's
Hmm.
like for you. And you mentioned something about the human connection. You mentioned that every time you leave school, you have to say goodbye to your friends. And when you go on holiday, you make new friends, but then you have to quickly say goodbye to them.
Yes.
Yeah, that cannot be easy. I mean, can you just elaborate a little bit on that as well?
Yes, of course. So the part that was difficult about saying, even though the friends I had in the Netherlands from a young age, they were living there, so I knew I was going to see them again. But you just had such a wonderful time, and then you have to cut the cord, and then you have also 6 weeks until you see your friends again. And when you're at school, you are just living your life and enjoying in this routine, and this has to be cut. And the way it makes you feel at the same time is a little bit sad because you have to say goodbye, but also a little bit exciting because you know you will see them again. But it's always, the emotions are always moving. So sometimes it will be easier than other times, but yeah, this constant movement of feelings isn't not really stopping. And when I look at my life as an adult, I also have friends all over the world. So I think this kind of stayed with me that I was used to having friends abroad and everywhere.
Hmm. That's interesting because how has that really affected your friendship or how you make friends in your life?
That's a really good question. I think I call myself the loyal friend, and I have a small circle, but my circle is just fed up everywhere. But I know that the friends that I have and I had, they are, I consider themselves as my family because I know I have to say goodbye, and I don't know always now as an adult when am I going to see them face to face. Even if we have contact through socials and WhatsApp and everything. So I was really careful in having friends. I would not let everybody be friends with me, but I would be very loyal to the ones I keep in my friend group. So that's how I went by with relationships, being really picky in who I allow in my life rather than making friends with everybody.
Mm-mm. And I think being picky, it's like, I feel like at some point in my life when I was younger, I felt like, oh, being picky, that's such a negative connotation. But now when I hear
Mhm.
that, it's like, no, it's actually, it's great to be able to be
Yes,
picky, right?
because time is so, there is so much value that we can give to time, and we don't know how much we have with our friends, and we are all busy humans. So spending time with people that don't really matter or that don't really click with your values is kind of a waste of time. I think things can be sustainable if you share real interest, if you share real values, and that's the friendship you can probably take to your last day, and maybe not. But today, when I look at my friendship, is almost around at least 10 years. So yeah, and I'm 35, and the longest friendship is 32 years friendship. So yes,
Wow. That, oh my goodness. I mean, yeah. I think it's actually quite challenging to even, it take a lot of work to maintain
yes,
friendship.
definitely, and also accepting that at some point in our lives we will maybe not be on the same wave, but that's completely okay. You're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. Maybe now we don't have as much contact, but we know when we come back together, it's going to be just like old school. I had my friend that is living in Ivory Coast. I hadn't seen her since the end of high school because she went to Canada, I went to the Netherlands. So it was over 10 years we haven't seen each other, and we met again, and it was really like old times because we know what we're doing in life, and we know that it's okay that sometimes we will not speak to each other for 6 months, but the foundation are really strong. So
Yeah, I can definitely pick up on that thread is that you're someone who's very careful and carefully curated your foundation, right? Who feels like
I
home
try.
in your life. I wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of this identity shift and this journey as you're navigating to find who you are and reconnect to yourself. Because I think in a chat that we had before, right, we talked about how because you had been adapting yourself in so many different cultures and languages and all that, you kind of had to go through that process a little bit and actually realizing, oh, who am I again? So may I ask, like, at what age you realized that, oh, I needed to really start that process of rediscovery who I am?
I think I was 10 years ago, 24. Yeah.
Mm, wow.
It was also the start of my healing journey. I was finishing college. I was living the best life. I have friends, a boyfriend, and partying and everything. And when that relationship ended, it kind of also shambled everything. I wanted something that was really attached to the Dutch life. I would call it like that. But as I was growing, I was realizing, okay, I am used to this life, but is this something I really, really want? And that's when I started to not reinvent myself, but rediscover myself. Okay, who am I? What do I like to do? I started to dance again. And yeah, those small steps that brought me further to myself was what I needed because I was so programmed of just doing the things. You go to college, you go to a new environment, you adapt, you adjust, and life goes on. You have a job and you have this and you have to make money, and everything is focused on everything but yourself. And that's when, yes, literally 10 years ago in March, it started. Yes,
Wow, you actually remember exactly what
yes.
month.
Yes, because a month later was my birthday and I turned 25. And yeah, that's why.
Oh, wait, when is your birthday? Is it around
End of
currently?
April.
I see. I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why.
Ah, okay. Because you're just saying that you were kind of going through the motion, right?
Mhm,
You getting jobs and you're adapting to different culture. You're just kind of do like trying to be productive. And I
mhm.
remember it's so similar to kind of your childhood because your childhood, that's what you do every year. You go on holidays and you absorb different cultures and you adapt again, you come back. It seems to me like that was a system that you're so used to.
Definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of it was rooted in um, childhood patterns that I already had. I don't think my parents wanted it that way, but I think we all just went with the flow. You go on holiday, you go here, and also living in France with an West African mom, you already have to adjust and adapt when you go to church, when you go to school, when you go to sports. So you have all those different cultures that you have so many switch codes. So it's so rooted deeply in you that as an adult, you go to a new environment, new company. And from, like I said, as an adult, I never had so many issues changing company because for me it was, oh, new company, new codes, new rules, bam, we just apply. It was so automatic. And at some point you realize that it doesn't bring you joy of doing that anymore. And you're like, okay, some things needs to change.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I really resonate with that. It's almost like you're always perfect in whatever organization that you work at, right? You're always the perfect employee because you know how to perform the way they want to. Can I ask you, when you sort of had that discovery or awakening, I would say,
Hmm.
what are the tools that you kind of picked up along the way to help you to navigate? Because it's not a clean process.
No.
It's messy, it's long.
So I started with a journey into finding God. I was raised a Christian. And at that point, I said, I don't believe in God no more. I don't believe in anything. There is no force above us. I had rejected everything. And I tried that for, I think, maybe 6 months. And
Hmm.
there was still this thought in my head. There is something higher than the sky. There is a force above us that there needs to be, because I've seen and experienced things. There needs to be something else. And in that journey of finding God, I read the Bible again. I've read about Buddhism. I did a lot of research and I realized that in everything, I did believe in what we can call God or the universe or the creator of everything. But I was not really satisfied with the concept of religion. So I started to kind of go back to Christianity, like flirting with it, not really fully, but just reading the Bible more, trying to understand, doing some research about the history and how did it merge with especially my mom's ethnicity, because we have our own spirituality. So I was trying to figure out how does these two things can coexist? How can we have spirituality and God? So that was the first step, but that was a process that took many, many years to figure out what was the form that was correct for me.
Hmm.
I started to reconnect with my soul and my spirit more, meditate more. I did some consultation with mediumships. I was really interested into, what do they have to say from the other side? That helped me a lot because it brought to life things that I always felt, but I could not put it to word or with an explanation. I also did some ink healing, also a lot with spirituality, but basically it was really reconnecting with my spirit and my soul and figuring out, okay, my soul is this identity, and what is here? Why am I here on earth? I need to live. If I want to figure that out, I need to get rid of all the layers and figure myself out first.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that's how my journey was shaped.
Mm. Right. So, in addition to the spirituality and kind of reconnecting to yourself, I know that movement is extremely important to you, right?
Yes,
And so tell us a little bit about that, because I know that you are also an dancing instructor as well on the side, right? Yeah.
yes. So my mom was a dancer. She used to dance, and my dad's mother used to be a flamenco dancer as well. So I think it was, on one hand, it was already in the gene, and I used to love to dance as a kid. I don't consider myself really talkative. And when I used to dance as a kid, even at home, we always had music and family festivities. There is always music. So it was, all your emotions could be processed. If it was sadness, joy, anger, you just put some music on, you dance, you sweat. I loved it. And when I came to live in the Netherlands, I was looking to pick up the dance again, and I could not really find something that would meet my needs in terms of dance. So I kind of let it away. And after I came back from Mexico in 2018, I said, okay, I want to move. I don't like the gym. I need to dance again. There needs to be something. I was not ready to give it up. And in Mexico, I took a few salsa and bachata lessons. So I was really feeling, oh, yes, this is what I like. I like to learn and I like to move. And 2018, 2019, that's where I found pole dancing. And I started to do that once a week. And I felt, whoa, this is amazing because it's a full body workout. And at the same time, you can express your creativity. Your creativity, you can express your energy. You can, it's such an art. And I started to do it more and more. And then I became an instructor. And this helped me today. I would not see myself not dancing again. I do pole dance, whining, heels class, Afro dance, and it's such a tool to release that energy and remove all the blocks that's inside because every emotion, positive or negative, needs to be released. It needs to flow. It's too much joy at some point you will explode. Too much anger at some point you will explode. So the movement is really a tool to help express yourself and express that energy and bring that flow inside.
Mm. That's so interesting because I do remember you mentioned that in a post that you did before, talking
Hmm.
about all the emotions, the energy needs to flow. Because,
Hmm.
and I immediately thought of this phrase like happy dance. I often feel like, oh yeah, when you're happy, you dance.
Depends.
But when you're sad, I normally don't associate that with dancing. But like you said, that energy needs to
Needs to go
flow.
somewhere. Yes.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to me. But I
Hmm.
guess my question would be, what if I don't feel like dancing? Because when I'm sad, I'm like, I just wanted to lie on my bed and be
I
underneath my blanket. How do I dance when I don't want to?
think movement is not only dancing. You can shake it off. Of course, it's okay if you feel sad or if you feel angry. I'm not going to say I'm always dancing. I will cry it out first. And you
Yeah.
can use that moment of shaking it off. It
Mm-hmm.
can be just jumping and screaming. It can be shaking your shoulders off, your arm, your fingers, just going for a walk. It's the action of movement that is needed for your energy to flow because the energy is stored in the muscles in your body. So this has to move. Of course, dance is an easy way to move everything and target something, but it can be slow movement. It can be a walk. It can be jumping, screaming, even like the muscles in your jaw by screaming. It helps. So movement is not only dancing. It can be soft. It can be anything as long as you follow your intuition in where does my body need to go.
Mm. That's really interesting. I'm gonna really have to try that. So
Yes. And let me know.
I will let you know, yeah. And I wanted to make an observation when you're walking me through the process of you kind of reconnecting to yourself and the different tools that you have used to help yourself with that. I feel like you're someone who's had the capacity to take the time to examine the tools. I mean, would that be correct?
It's funny because I'm not patient at all. So for me, everything needs to be fast. But when it comes to taking decisions for myself, because there is so much risk, I would say maybe I was scared to take the risk. So therefore, I will double check, triple check so many times before taking a decision. But when it comes to
Mm,
work, I'm so confident. I know I don't have to think it twice. I know this is the solution we need. Bam, let's go. I don't doubt myself. But when it comes to taking a decision for myself at that time in my journey, I was being very careful and speaking left and right and wanting to have all the cards and all the options laid down and then taking a few and then doing more and more research. But at some point, everybody is saying the same. It's either you decide to try it and then you can figure out, okay, this is not for me, or you try it and you figure out that, oh, maybe this is for me. So I took the time, yes, but there was a lot of fears in it why I took so much time.
It's so interesting because you mentioned that there is such a difference how you operate, right? For yourself, there are a lot of risk. Then you know that you really needed to examine everything a couple of times. But then when it comes to work, you have this confidence that you can make the decision and execute.
Hmm.
Why do you think there's such a disconnect or there's this very different approach
Hmm.
when it comes to
So
life and work?
back then, it was you went to school, you had the experience, you proved yourself that what you have this expertise and that your advice is good. I had the proof, I learned it, I had the theory. So there was no need to doubt because I already walked that path. But when it came to myself and figuring out, okay, who I am and what do I need, I was thinking, okay, if I do a consultation with a medium, what can she activate? I was thinking so ahead of all the risk that I was not maybe aware of. Or going to a moon circle with women I don't know. I say, if I open myself with people I don't know, what are they going to do with this information? I was so busy with everything around me instead of just listening to my body and letting me guide to what do I need. And at the end, it did guide me through the two nice experiences. Maybe some I would do it again, some not. But I was so doubting in, okay, if things goes wrong, do I have myself? I was not sure of that at the moment. So that was the difference.
Hmm. Wow, that's so interesting because I think, like you said, a lot of us, because we go to school, we get good grades and then we apply for jobs, and it's kind of like going through the motion. And for that, we know there is seems to be a
Hmm.
path that we could
Yes.
see. There is a recipe that we could follow. But for reconnecting to ourselves and finding who we are, there is
Nobody
no
did.
right. No.
No, nobody did the equation before ourselves. For work, it has been done before. You've learned that A plus B is AB. So there is no need to doubt. But yeah, when it came to myself, it was, oh, can I handle if it goes not the way I planned it? So back then I didn't have the strength. Now today is completely different. But yeah, that was in the journey. There was so much fears I had to get rid of, so many limiting beliefs. But that's part of the journey that is so beautiful. You get to learn and to apply directly.
Mm. Would you say you're still learning about yourself or you're still shedding certain things 10 years in this journey?
I think so. Consider that a life journey is a never-ending story until you've broke all the cycles and everything. But I think that till the rest of our lives, we are healing from something, not in a bad way, but healing is really just learning to act different, and we will get tested till the last day on earth. That's one thing we know for sure. So
Mhm.
I don't think I'm done shredding today. This is a new chapter, but 10 years ago I was in a completely new chapter. The lesson I had applied, but if tomorrow I become a mom, I'm sure the kids will bring brand new lessons. So I will have to shred from something. So I think it's an ongoing process in where you have to go.
Mm. Well, I love how you're so open-minded about that. I remember when I first walked into this journey and I was 35. I was your age when I decided that, oh, I don't know who I am. Let me find out. But at the time, I was very impatient. I felt like I had to figure it out, and once I figured out, and that's it. But I didn't know it's a ongoing process, layer by layer.
I think the patience is, I'm still learning it. I think I would like to say I'm getting better at it, but I had a chapter in my life that I had no other choice than to be patient because because
Uh,
working so much, I had a burnout and I had to do nothing to come back from that. And I remember one of the last conversation I had with the therapist was, your exercise is to go back home, to sit and do nothing. And I looked at her, I said, what do you mean doing nothing? She said, you just sit, no noise, no TV, no phone, just for 5 minutes. You sit there, you do nothing, and then you feel what you need to feel in your body. I felt so uncomfortable doing nothing just for 5 minutes. Believe me, this journey have has taught me patience, that we try to control the outcome, and we have to trust that whatever the outcome is, we're going to handle it. And that's where the patience lays, letting go of control. So I learned the hard way. Sometimes still things are not going fast enough, but it's we don't have to be perfect.
Very true. And I mean, now 10 years in, do you, how do you define belonging at this point?
Oof. Define belonging. I think if you can feel at home in your body, in your mind, be comfortable with the ugly thoughts that you have, because we do have them sometimes, owning your identity, what you want to do, and taking the risk that your intuition will tell you to do things doesn't make sense at all to your mind, but as long as it feels right in my heart, I think I belong on this path and in this body and in this mind. This is for me what would be belonging.
So it's not like a physical space that you have to belong to.
Your physical space does have a huge impact on your soul and on your mind. Let's be honest, because if you live in a country you're not happy,
Hmm.
you can feel at home in your body, there will be this urge in terms of energy that is going to push you out of that country, no matter
Hmm.
what you do. And being somewhere where you feel comfortable and you feel seen and valued is also really important. But first, the peace needs to start inside.
Hmm.
Because if you're going to, if you're going to chase different places because you don't feel at home in your body, it's going to be a chase that is never going to end. You will keep moving and moving and moving. And that's okay if that's what you're supposed to do. But if you're running away from yourself, no, that's not going to help anything.
Yeah. And I have to ask, what is your definition of soft power after having so many different experience, living in different culture, adapting, and now really reconnecting to yourself?
I think I've reached different cultures that had strong feminine energy and strong masculine energy.
Mm,
Today, for me, soft power would be how can I use my masculine energy to protect and to provide and to support my feminine energy through this journey. Doesn't matter where I am, but if that masculine energy can provide and protect for my feminine energy, I think I'm
mm,
in my soft power.
wow. That's beautiful. Could you elaborate a little bit about that masculine energy that women have? Because I feel like I rarely hear about that because I know that we have both. But yeah, just talk to me about what that means to you, having that masculine energy.
That masculine energy was really who I was from my kids era. You go to work, you're a go getter. You want to success, you want results, you want to perform. Things need to make sense, needs to be fast. You need action. You're always on the go, doing, doing, doing. That is masculine energy. It has to be logical. You have to be doing something. You're planning, organizing, and that's literally my job. And
Yeah.
the thing is, on the feminine energy, is the creativity, it's the dreams, it's where the plants are seeded. And we are always focused on, okay, we have to be feminine or we have to act masculine, but actually, we have the capacity to dream and to go slow and to be nurturing and caring and trust our intuition and our emotion. That's a superpower. But the masculine energy makes everything happen. So that's why I think it's a balance, and people look at it as it's like opposites or there is a war between the two of them. But the one can support the other. That's why it's here. We need to use them to be able to rely on both. And being soft, people, soft and emotional, people used to use those words as something negative. But being emotional means acting upon emotion. If you act from a place of joy, is that a bad thing? I don't think so. The people now throw your emotional as a negative word when it's not. You just express what you're feeling inside, and that's completely normal.
And I love how you use the word protect. So you
Mhm,
mentioned that having the masculine energy within us to protect our
mhm,
feminine energy. And I think that comes back to we actually are the protector of ourselves. And
definitely.
right. Yeah. And taking that responsibility. Hmm.
Your masculine energy has to tell your feminine energy that you have to sit down now and to rest and lay. That's how you can see it. Because if women would think, okay, I cannot rest, I have to be productive and perform, otherwise I'm lazy. But no, you need both. You need action and you need rest because even a machine is going to burn down if it doesn't rest. And that's where your masculine energy can actually protect your feminine energy and saying, okay, now it's enough. You need a break.
Yes, you need to sit down and for 5 minutes not do anything.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, for someone right now listening who feels like they don't fully belong anywhere, what would you tell them?
If you don't feel like you belong anywhere, I would say get rid of all the noise and the voice in your head. And yeah, really, I'm sorry to say it again, sit down with yourself, sit down in the silence, and you will find where you're supposed to be. Because it can be very, very true that you are somewhere that you don't feel seen, you don't feel valued, or you feel like you're different compared to your friends or your family. I know a lot of people, they feel so different from the rest of the family. We're so different. How is it possible? And if you want to know where you belong, really get rid of all the noises and all the limiting beliefs that you have to be that, you have to do something. This is the way we do it. Get rid of that. Dare to listen.
It's a very uncomfortable process,
It is. It
but
is.
necessary.
Yes, it is because you will have to maybe disappoint some people on the way
Yeah.
if you decide to, for example, move to the other side of the world and your family doesn't understand. You will have this battle of explaining and explaining, and I think people are just tired also to have to explain themselves. Sometimes they feel it, they don't know why, but they
Yeah.
just go with the guts, and then you have to explain to someone else that will not understand or will not approve.
Mm,
That's a battle that a lot of people don't want to have.
it's that confrontation, right?
Yes,
Hmm.
not
Mm.
being that perfect image.
Well, that's when setting boundaries, the lesson number one, comes from.
Yes, very important. Very.
Yeah. I just wanted to say I am so grateful for your insights and your content is absolutely beautiful. You talked about
Thank you.
movement, you talked about manifestation, and you talked about that feminine energy. And when I look at your content, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I just feel
Oh, thank
very
you.
feminine.
I mean, that's my goal. If I can inspire at least one person, I win.
Hmm.
So thank you
Hmm.
so much.
Yeah. I'll have all your information in the show notes below. And thank you so much, Jenny, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It was really a nice conversation. Thank you for the valuable questions that also made me reflect and go back to some places in the past. I was like, oh, yes, let me think about it. But really, thank you. Like I said, life is a journey and it can be a fun journey and it's a learning journey. Enjoy learning, I would say.
Yeah. Enjoy life. As hard as it can be, enjoy. It can be short, it can be long. We don't know, right?
Mm, full of surprise.
Yeah. Thank you.